Hello and welcome to the Powered by Rock podcast. We're only speaking to Matt Mucerino from the Orange County alternative rock band Crossing I's and Dotting T's today. The band has been releasing singles this year in anticipation of putting out a full-length album later this year. In fact, I haven't told Matt this, as it may go right to his head, but their single, All Feelings Aside, is currently my favorite song of the year, and I have listened to thousands of songs, and many of my favorite artists are getting topped by me saying that, but it's the damn truth. So to steal a line from that song and get out of this intro, I'll just say, I don't want to be here anymore, and let's start the show.
You're listening to the Powered by Rock podcast with your host, Isaac Kuhlman. The Powered by Rock podcast was created to help showcase some of the best rock musicians in the world and to pass on to future generations the rock music that has inspired rock fans around the world for decades. We want listeners to be able to hear great stories and life experiences directly from their favorite artists, as well as dig deeper into music theory and talk rock like no other show you've ever heard. This isn't about looking cool, it's about getting real and having a great time. Without further ado, let's start the show.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Powered by Rock podcast. I'm stoked to bring Matt from Crossing I's and Dotting T's onto the show today to talk about their music, the band's journey, and what's in store for this very talented and still pretty young band. So, hey, Matt, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Isaac.
I don't have my applause button's not working, so I'll just give you one of these here off to the side. Yeah.
Thank you.
So let's go ahead and introduce you to the rest of the world who may not know you guys just yet. But you guys have kind of been together. Well, I should say the band kind of has had some lineup changes over the years, but kind of bringing back to the beginning, when did you guys start actually playing together? How'd the project start in the first place?
Yeah, so the project started originally over the COVID, late 2020, and probably like September-ish is when I just started it. I was just literally in my room just every day, you know, like everybody was, quarantined and stuff. So I was like, I'm going to make some songs. I was watching a lot of Audio Trees live sessions and like listening to a lot of these bands like Have Mercy and Sea Haven and Citizen and Title Fight and those bands. And so I'm gonna make some songs, and it was because originally my cousin who passed away due to cancer. It was just his anniversary actually a couple of days ago on the 22nd. Passed away due to cancer. He was 21. He was like my best friend and cousin, and I made it because of him. He was like one of the only people who legitimately listened to all the same type of music that I did, like all the types of, you know, from DIY emo type stuff to, I don't know, screamo-ish type stuff or whatever. So he liked it all, and I didn't have a lot of friends down here who really listened to that stuff. So I made it for him in the first place, and that was September, I think, 2020. But then I did like a jam in the van session with just some like a ragtag group of guys. It was my buddy who plays guitar. He filled in on guitar for me because I wanted to get a session done because I had some songs that kind of wrote where they were kind of for my cousin, and I wanted to get them kind of out there. But then I kind of went through different producers. I found different producers, and I was still doing it all just on my own, just as a single artist, and I wasn't really looking for a band just because I didn't really know what I was doing with it. I just wanted to put some songs out just because I had some songs. But then Oliver, our bassist, had reached out because he saw the jam in the van session that we did, and he reached out to to my Instagram and said, "Hey, are you guys looking for, you know, a bassist and a guitarist?" Where him and Soren, our guitarist now, they were both from the same area in Temecula, and they were kind of making some music. They had a little project they were doing, but then they were looking for a band. So I was like, yeah, that's perfect timing. And then they ended up being good friends, and we've gotten close since. So we put out, but we didn't even get together though until after I released the EP with Regressing Memories and those songs. That was still all just me and my producer Alex Estrada. And then right after that, it was when they joined it. And I want to say it was, I remember Soren saying like a couple months ago, Soren said it was a year since we played our first show. So it's been like a year and 2 months, 3 months since we've been together. And this album we just recorded, I guess, is the first like full type of project that we did fully collaborative.
Sure. That's awesome. And so, I mean, obviously, the one thing I know that you've been struggling with over the last couple of years is finding a solid drummer. But it seems like
Yeah.
you found that now. I think according to your Instagram with Melanie Joe, who
Yeah.
has some serious chops. She's played with some seriously big names like Billy Gibbons from
No.
ZZ Top, and a few other bands. Slash, I think.
Yeah.
Even. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Slash, yeah.
there's some solid credentials there. Is she in for the long haul? Have you guys finally solidified your lineup now?
Yeah. So I mean, shit. Who knows? What'll happen in 2 months? But drummers are so, I don't know. It's so hard to find them anywhere. But I feel like in Southern California, it's even harder. Everybody's in like 7 different projects and stuff. But she is, yeah. So we had originally put out the word that we were looking for a drummer, and we were already following each other for a while. I just didn't even like realize it, I don't think. And then I reached out, like, hey, are you looking to join the band, blah blah. Because she wasn't in. I don't think she's not in a band. She's just kind of a hired gun, and she plays with people. So I was like, hey, if you're looking to join a band, like we'd love to have you. And so we did a rehearsal, and it went really well. And then we just played a show where on my birthday on the 9th, there's our first show together. Oliver couldn't make it though. Oliver got sick the day of, and we were like, oh my God, dude, come on. So we had to play with a 3-piece of just me playing guitar and Soren played bass. And then she drummed, but it was really good. She killed it. I mean, she has chops. I mean, she's really good. She's a damn professional. But yeah, I mean, as of right now, she's in the band. She wants it, but who knows what's gonna happen in 2 months. Maybe she'll, end up finding something else. I don't know. But hopefully she stays.
I'm too good for you guys. See you later.
I don't know. Well, Soren's too good for us, and Soren stays. So I don't know. Hopefully, hopefully. Well, Soren's not going to listen to that. He'll never even hear that. So. Anyways.
Well, the one thing about a good leader is surrounding yourself with good people, right? So you've done that well.
True. Yeah, true. Very true.
So I think one thing I want to talk about is I feel like online you use a bit of sarcasm, and I think a lot of people might not get it if they just don't quite know you or don't understand your snarky character that you portray on stage at times. I think it's freaking hilarious. I'm thinking, this is exactly when you go to a rock show, you kind of want to have a little bit of attitude. You want to have somebody, pumping up the crowd in different ways. You don't want just somebody being like, oh, thank you so much. You want the gamut. You want a little bit of something different from everybody. Right. And so I think some people might come away thinking, man, that guy's a typical egomaniac rocker, or something to that effect. But, what do you think? Like, do you feel like people may see you as having an attitude problem, or do you think it's kind of just what kind of helps differentiate you and bring you into a different light, or do you intend to portray yourself differently?
I like to just keep it really real, I guess. I mean, I really like, I'm constantly, if something doesn't, I'll say what I mean, like in that Vegas show, I said some comments up there. I was like, we're just gonna, play a few songs that nobody even wants us to play anyways, like something like that. Like I just like to keep it real, and like whatever I'm feeling, I like to just say, and I don't like to keep it something.
You're gonna be a bad politician, Matt. Bad politician.
No, that's why I hate politics. I hate politics. Oh my God. That's the one thing I really don't talk about. But yes, I would be terrible. But yeah, I just kind of say whatever it is, and that's what I am also. Yeah, I mean, it's rock and roll. I mean, it's a rock band. I mean, you don't need to be. I guess you kind of need to be pretty PC these days. But as far as just kind of speaking your truth and saying what you want and kind of being brash sometimes, I guess I think it's okay. I don't think as long as you're still somewhat humble. I mean, I still, I give all my credit to everybody else basically all the time. So but there are times if I'm feeling upset or something, I'm gonna say it, or I'm gonna do it. And then a lot of times I am just sarcastically saying jokes. But yeah, if nobody knows how it really is, it's kind of hard sometimes. I'll be like, is this gonna come across this way, that way? How are people gonna take this? I don't know. But sometimes I'm like, I just don't. But I seriously just don't even care what people think. I mean, it's just people on the internet. I mean, I have a few, the circle of friends that know me and stuff. So it's like, I don't necessarily care what just random people would think of, the social media, I guess, from what we put out. But, yeah.
Well, another thing about it is that the music is fucking great. So like, as long as you keep making good music, and, if people are going to take you too seriously, or, just over exaggerate what you say, or, take offense to it,
Yeah.
you can't please everybody. You never can. You can be like Jimmy Eat World is probably some of the nicest dudes in the history of the world, and people still hate them and shit on them. And it's like, how these guys are like super nice dudes. Like you cannot please everybody in the world. So
yeah, exactly. No, I know. Yeah, it's like we're already making music that's not necessarily popular anymore. It has its niche or whatever, but like I know that plenty of people don't like it, and that's fine. You know what I mean? But there's those plenty of people who do love it and love the attitude that comes along with it, and loves the way that we portray ourselves, I guess. And I love those people, and I don't like other people, I guess.
Yeah. So do you think that some of what you say on online and on stage is part of a rock and roll persona, or is it just like, this is just me, like, fuck it?
No. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say I have a persona, honestly. I never like idolized anybody. There was never any, like, I didn't grow up idolizing certain people besides like Adam Duritz of the Counting Crows, but I'm not going to act like him on stage or anything, so I'm not like our guitarist Soren, he has favorite guitarists, and he really, really gets, into it. And he's like a perfect stage presence, all that stuff. I don't know. It's just like super emotional, not emotional, like aggressively emotional in my head to me, because it's all my words and stuff. And it's also real to me. Everything that I'm saying is just so real. So like, I'll just get super into it to the point where like, I'll not even black out, but like, I'll like just be like, oh, what just happened? Like, what do I need to do? So I don't like cognitively think like, oh, what's my next move? Am I going to stand on this drum kit? You know what I mean? I just kind of like whatever for me, because I never really idolized anybody specifically. So I'm just trying to be as real and just have fun, I guess. So no, I wouldn't say it's any type of persona, honestly.
Cool. So let's kind of dive into the music, because over the last, what has been like basically 18 months or so, you put out about 7 total songs, with the four songs on the EP, I believe, and then 3 singles, right? So your sound seems to be a mix between like grunge, punk, and emo. I don't know how you pull it off, but it actually sounds fucking rad, because when I try to put it together, it sounds like I'm playing country music unless I have a full band. What were some of the influences that you had in your music that got you into this style?
I love 90s alternative music. Like, I love grunge. Like, I don't even love grunge that much. Honestly, like whatever post grunge. I don't know. I hate genres wise. Like, it's so hard to tell. Like, post grunge bands. When I'm saying post grunge, they're like Bush, Silverchair, and like those kind of bands. And then like mixed with like Jawbox, and then even like Taking Back Sunday. But I just love 90s, 2000s, Jimmy Eat World those type of bands. And I never like write a song thinking I want it to sound like this or like that. I just kind of start riffing around and just start messing around. I like to just keep it like that. So that's why sometimes like our song You sounds so much different than All Feelings Aside. All Feelings Aside sounds so much different than Dissatisfied. They all kind of sound different, but the same kind of. There's some that are faster, some are slower, and then so there's not one or even 2 exact inspirations, because I don't look up like I'll never. I know some songs, but like I don't go and like look up songs even. I'm calling myself out. Like, I don't like learn songs. I won't learn. I don't know how to play a single like Taking Back Sunday, Jimmy Eat World, Job. I don't know how to play any of those songs. Like, I just don't even care to, for whatever reason. So I'll just make whatever I like. Oh, I like that sound. I like what that sounds like. Like, I'm like, all things that sound like, ooh, that sounded good. I like that. So I'm like, I'm gonna do that. And then I'm like, oh, that sounds kind of like something like, I don't know, like an old, like a 90s alternative type of vibe, I guess ish. So I'm like, all right, let's do that. And then I also love bands like Basement and Citizen, Sea Haven, Title Fight, those kind of bands. Well, older, their 2010 kind of stuff for Basement, Citizen, and Title Fight and stuff. Love those ones. Sea Haven, I don't know. I love the realness in it. It's kind of like DIY-ish, but it's we just like to be raw and just whatever comes to mind. I just like to put it down, and if I like it, because I end up writing a lot of stuff, but I just obviously, like anybody, don't like some of the stuff, but some of the stuff that hits me, and I'm like, oh, I like that. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's not even think about what genre it's going to be. Let's just put whatever we're doing into it, and it all comes out sounding kind of the same-ish.
Yeah, and that's you know, especially being in like Southern California, you get exposed to like local bands that most people don't ever hear in the rest of the world. And that also can influence you even more than like, you know, some of the popular national bands. So, you know, you never know where inspiration is going to come from. And it doesn't really even have to be direct inspiration. It's just, you know, you're being influenced by without even knowing, right? Like, you know, I hear songs on the radio and I'm like, that's a Pixie song. Like that sounds like the Pixies in a band today. Like I know the Pixies still exist and still make music, but it's like, they haven't really been the Pixies since the early 90s. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Sure.
And it's funny because I even, you know, when I listen to your music, I still kind of hear some of that stuff like Pixies, you know, not
Pixies,
so much like Nirvana necessarily, but like you said, some Silverchair, some stuff like that is in there for sure. And I think I was going to say, is there kind of like a specific theme you were trying to go for? I know you were writing some of the songs for your cousin, obviously, but were you kind of just trying to get for that first EP, were you kind of just trying to like put the songs that you had out in your head onto something so you could record it and then move forward? Or was it actually like, hey, I want to do this for a certain reason?
No. I put them out because one of them specifically they were all kind of like about my cousin and the feelings that I was getting from the passing of my cousin, and just, you know, other feelings. So I just wanted to make a really like a journal, like a diary, you know, but in a song. You know, I would just put all my feelings, like my legitimate feeling exactly what I was thinking into these songs so that I could, I don't know, listen to them forever or whatever, and I could have them for my cousin. Hope maybe, you know, you could hear them somehow. But I didn't really necessarily think anything was going to come of it, but I'm just kind of a hard worker-ish when it comes to this stuff. Like if I'm kind of into it, I'm going to put my time into it and I'll go hard with it. So I kind of ended up going hard a little bit in the beginning, and some people liked some of the songs, and even just getting a few people saying that they dug it. You know, I was like, all right, maybe I'll start some more. And I was still writing, so I was like, all right, I'll write more. And then I ended up finding, you know, Alex, who was a producer who we've been working with the EP and the album, and he's Joyce Manor and Touche Amore, Nails, Silver Snakes. He's all their work. So once we found him, it was kind of perfect because he understood kind of what we were going for. He is like more of a raw producer, so it's not heavy. You know, the production isn't always super heavy. It's not a lot of, you know, tricks and stuff. It's kind of just raw, and that's how we like it, and that's how we know. So that's kind of, I didn't really know, but now I'm very happy where it's, you know, came.
Yeah, and I would say like you picked up pretty steam pretty quickly, because I believe you're signed to a record label with Riot Records, right? I think you even have a couple sponsorship, including guitar cables from Powered by Rock. But I mean, you man, yeah, Ernie Ball, you got the strings, and you have an amp one too, don't you?
Amps. Orange, yeah, we got orange amps, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, these are things that like most bands never get for their like entire existence. And you're like, hey, I just decided to start a band and made some music. And now I'm already got all this stuff down. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, that was the thing, because I was a major in college. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. I really don't think it does, because it's just how hard you go and connecting with people. But the social aspect, I was connecting with a lot of people really quickly, and that's how I ended up getting, when I got the jam in the band, they ended up hooking up really good. When I got the jam in the band session originally, we did one, and then I wanted to do another one with some new songs, and then they set it up to where we did I don't know if you've seen it, but they set it up to where Orange sent us the Orange Terror Stamp little amp in a box. And we did a little demo for them, like, you know, talking about it and playing a little session on it. And, you know, it's on their YouTube and all their socials, Oranges and stuff. And I was like, all right, well, we did a session, guys. We did like a 4-song session too. That's on their YouTube, a live session at Jam in the Van. I was like, all right, well, you guys, can we just get sponsored? Like, is that, because I was already had the email of the A&R rep who was dealing with sending everything. So I was like, hey, can you guys just sponsor us? I mean, now you guys are putting up a video of us, like, you might as well sponsor us. So like, yep, all right, sure. I was like, all right. And then I ended up hooking up with, you know, the Ernie Ball guy. I just found him, an A&R rep. His name's Tim. I'm not going to say his last name. I'm sure he doesn't want it out there. I just put him on Instagram, just sifting through stuff, and hit him up, and he said yeah too. And then same thing with the label. I found the label A&R guy through Instagram as well. And I just emailed him, just kept bugging him. And then finally, after like 2 months, we ended up coming to a little agreement. And yeah, so it was just kind of going hard in the first place, and really, I guess, marketing myself and the band decently well. That's how we got verified and stuff too. So going well, yeah.
Yeah, and I will say, for any band out there thinking like, oh man, Matt's lucky, he's got all this stuff, it's like, nah, man, you don't just get lucky. You don't just get a record label. You don't get sponsorships without asking and working your ass off.
That's I mean, sometimes I'm like, because we are so new and we're also new to the scene too. I feel like nobody says the things. We hear it, well, we've heard it a couple of times, I guess, but we wonder if a lot of bands are kind of not, I mean, I guess the word would be jealous, or I don't want to say jealous, because like I'm sure they're just as good of a band as us, but like that's the point, I guess, because we have all these sponsorships and stuff. But I hope that they know that like I'm not like, oh, like come from money, or like I have some, you know what I mean? I don't know anybody in the music industry. I don't know, you know what I mean? Nothing. So like, and I knew nothing before like 2 years ago. I just freaking went hard. So like that's, I guess, what I wish everybody could know too, because it's so much work. And I feel like a lot of people, there's a lot of people who are like, we're just really, you know, we're very DIY. I mean, not very DIY. We're, I guess, as DIY as it comes, besides recording our shit in our, you know, garage. But I do everything on my own. I book all of our shows. Everything that we get is all from and stuff. And like, I feel like some people think that there's some special like hook up or something, and there's so many bands I know, so many people that I know are in the same boat too. I talked to some bands. The lead singer of Fate Destroyed, have you ever heard of Fate Destroyed band?
I have not.
Look them up after. The lead singer, Princess, I was talking to her about it too, and because they played Incarceration Festival, and they played all these other festivals and stuff, and she does it all on her own too. And I was like, damn, I thought that she had a manager or something. I was like, hey, like, who's your manager? So I'm like, I'm trying to get a manager, somebody to take some stuff off my plate, but I'm like, I cannot trust anybody if they're not going to do as well as I can just do on my own, because I've been doing it just well on my own. And we got on, I don't know if you ever saw it too, there's also random, but we were on a local CBS show with Red Jumpsuit Apparatus and Enter Shikari. We had a live session with them, and that was early too, and that was strictly, I found that guy through Instagram too, hit him up, emailed him, said, can we be part of it? And boom, just like that. So it was just kind of just putting yourself out there. That's why I'm saying put yourself out there to everybody else. But yeah, I hope everybody knows it's not just like a connection thing. Hard work.
Yeah. You gotta scour the internet. You gotta put yourself out there and not be afraid of rejection, for sure.
Oh yeah.
All right. So I want to talk about some of the songs real quick, because I feel like on the surface, you don't have to understand what the songs are about to really get the mood of a song. But, you know, digging in and getting your perspective as a songwriter is always cool, because, you know, one of my favorite things is kind of learning more about the histories of the songs. So obviously the 3 new songs since the EP came out, All Feelings Aside, You, and Overworked and Underused. Kind of talk to me about the story behind kind of each one of these songs, and what were you kind of feeling, and what are you trying to go with, and how do you get the sound that you want in the end for each one of those?
Yeah, so All Feelings Aside, I cannot even remember writing that one. It was like, I can't even remember it, but I remember writing the lyrics to it. And that was really one where I was just sick of I was in a lot of places where I didn't want to be, whether it be a party or a job or a friend's house set. You know, I want to just be at home, or I want to be anywhere else. So it came where I was like, you know, obviously the first line is, while you're thinking about what they think of you, they're thinking about the same thing too, where it's like, you know, everyby's thinking like, what are they thinking of me? What am I thinking of them? Everybody's kind of thinking that. So like, you shouldn't even worry about like what people think, because they're probably just thinking about what you think of them, you know? So, but I'm like, I'm sick of this, obviously, these same social chores. I'm sick of saying, I got to do this. I got to put on a happy face. Oh, how's it going, guys? You know, put on a smile or whatever, when I just don't feel like it, you know, sometimes, plenty of times. So I want to just be at home, just making music or watching music or doing anything else, or just sleeping.
Yeah.
So it was kind of that. and like Oliver kind of thought it. Oliver, it's not a song about like killing yourself or suicide, but it can be taken that way. Oliver took it that way, and he took it that I don't want to be here anymore, to be like I just don't want to be here anymore. Like, kill me. And it I guess somewhat it was that. I guess I just don't want to be here anymore, and I could be anywhere else. But I guess I didn't think about it that way, but other people can. And yeah, you don't need to. That's what I love about music too. You don't need to know exactly what the song's about, as long as you can put your own interpretation onto it. I do that all the time with songs, you know. You was a song that it was just like a cliche breakup song. I wrote that, like the little riff, I guess, and part of that after me and my ex-girlfriend broke up, and it was at like 1 a.m. or something. And I just had like and I was like, I don't like that. And I was like, I don't know where to go with this though. I was like, I have no idea. So I sent it to Soren, and then Soren, we ended up getting together, and Soren put together a chorus for it, and I wrote the melody for the lyrics and stuff, but he put together the chords and stuff, and I was like, that works. And then we ended up getting to the bridge. I was like, I really like that. And then we just kept doing that, and I was like, all right, this works. Like, let's do this. Let's hear how this sounds. And it kind of, this one was definitely, I wasn't loving it, I guess, because it was sounding really pop punky. And I'm not that I don't like pop punk. I mean, a lot of people say we sound pop punk too, and I don't really understand it. But that one was like, I was like, like it's kind of sounded like pop punk. I don't know, like I was feeling weird about it, but I really liked it, and I really liked the verse, and I liked the chorus. I thought it was kind of powerful, kind of on it. And then that's Brian Swindle from Have Mercy. If he it sounded like it could be like a Have Mercy song, an old Have Mercy song, and I was like, oh, he would be perfect for this. And we were already talking beforehand, and he was like, yeah, I'll do it. And that's what's like, all right, well, now I'm gonna put it out now, because I love Brian Swindle, I love Have Mercy. So if he likes it, he'll get on it. I'll put it out. So that was that one's process. And then Overworked and Underused, that was a song that I wrote like a year ago. It was a lot different. We've been playing it live for a long time. We probably played it in Vegas. So we might have played it. We play it every time for the past, I guess, year. It was just a lot different. It didn't have the same lead line, guitar line, that like linear cool guitar line, whatever. It was different. It was like an octave thing, but we were like, oh, let's change that. And then it was also didn't have all like the screaming kind of metalcore screamo influence that Oliver brought to all the background vocals and stuff. It didn't have any of that. It was just kind of like a pure kind of alt-rockish song, punk alt-rock song, yes. And then we were like, all right, we can just kind of like led way to just, when we were in the studio, like we could add a lot more to this. It could sound like, because there's a lot going on. So we were just like, all right, fuck it, let's just kind of add a lot. And then we just kind of made it really not complicated, but for us, it was a lot going on in a song, I guess, for us. And it was so that's how that one came about.
Yeah, it's funny because you mentioned that. I was going to say one thing about you guys' music is you put in the work to get the sound right on the recording, and you don't hold back on complex composition. I know Soren, obviously, you mentioned him quite a bit. He's kind of a virtuoso on guitar, but he's not even just a guitarist. He plays other instruments. You already mentioned he played bass. I think he said he also plays like piano or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, he can play some keys too. Yeah, I think he's expert at it, but he can play.
Yeah, and it's like when you have somebody like that in the band that can just kind of like just play whatever, it helps to kind of let you explore what the songs can sound like. So, I mean, the other thing, the flip side is that no matter how good somebody is, like I've seen Eddie Van Halen like play guitar, right? Not in person, but like I've seen him play, but without like a band to kind of bring him back and rein him in. I'm not going to sit there and watch him play, 20-minute guitar solos either. So it's like you guys do manage to find a complementary mix of, the great melodies, the hooks, the drumming, everything, and it kind of all makes sense. So kind of talk about what you're kind of feeling when you hear, what each person brings and how that all comes together.
Yeah, because so that's exactly, we talk about it all the time, that I'm Soren like jokes about it almost, because it's funny that he's like makes and is in like such a basic easy, simple band, because he's such a music nut, and he's, always wants to make it like super complex and like the most, not necessarily like so much stuff going on, but he also knows and he loves just serving the song. So he's very much a person who always says, I understand, I got to serve a song, so we don't put an insane sweet picking solo into every song, but like it fits into you. We're like, all right, well, we can put a solo there, but we originally had a solo for All Feelings Aside instead of the after, and we were like, I was like, oh, like, I know Soren's gonna get mad. I was like, I know Soren, because he already did it, he already recorded it. I was like, I just don't think it was kind of like a fast, like a solo, and I was like, I don't think it fits with this. Like, I don't know. So we ended up taking it out, and then we're just replacing it with that part, and I just think it ended up working so much better. But that was like the only time that we've like had a little like issue, I guess. And he's so certain, like everything, that he knows exactly how to do whatever he wants to do whenever he wants to do it. And Oliver Oliver does what I tell him. Just kidding. but Oliver just does fucking bass lines after I write the song. I mean, me and Oliver wrote a few of these songs that were released on the album. We wrote a few of the songs together, and one of them, actually, Oliver's singing most of the song. I'm just singing the verses. So we had some of those kind of songs too. So Oliver, in regards to his bass playing, we'll just write a song and he'll just play whatever fits bass wise into it. And Oliver's great, but Oliver's not like Soren wise on guitar, on bass, or anything like that, So he just plays, kind of exactly what it needs to be played, and all of our songs don't need an intense bass lines or some Thundercat stuff. So it's just kind of whatever we feel like, all right, let's do that. We switch things up too a lot of times. He'll start doing something and then we'll switch it up. Soren will have him do something different or something. But other than that, me and Oliver mainly, we started to write more songs together, but because Oliver has a different style too. He's a metalcore head, like big time metalcore guy. But we find like songs and genres, and like, but he also likes Weezer, and it was weird. So we find stuff that we can kind of come to terms with. I'm like, all right, let's write something that is in this realm, maybe. So that's kind of where. And then drummer is just whoever the fuck we can get at the time to come and work the drums. We had Fencer, Cameron. I don't know if you know the band Fencer. Went on tour with them, and their drummer came in, recorded the whole album for us because our drummer was a bunch of time. So
very cool. So speaking of the album, is that going to be still on Riot Records, and how far along in the recording? Is it all done? Is it going to be actually coming out? Do you have a release date yet?
No release date yet. It's done. It's not mastered yet, but there is one song that I'm not ready to. There still needs to be a little adjustment, I guess you'd say. We need to add something to it. So I'm kind of holding off because we haven't been able to get into the studio to do it. So I'm just holding back, I guess, on getting them all mastered because they were already, but I'm just I don't know. So I do not know. We'll see. I'm out like 3 or 4 months. No date as of right now. I'm being a little picky on this one, even though I usually aren't. I mean, I usually am not.
Is it still going to be through Riot Records though?
Yeah. Absolutely through Riot Records.
Very cool. I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I know you guys have played a handful of shows lately. This is probably going to come out after your next show. I think you have one in September, but I think this will come out after that. But do you have anything beyond September or anything else that you want to promote or plug before we finish the interview today?
Yeah, we're playing a show at Pro Skate Shop in October on the 28th, Cheridomingo. And then there's like a festival in the Inland Empire, this little like music and food festival that we got us to do. We're doing that. But other than that,
yeah. Well, obviously everybody can look forward to the album dropping. I'm sure you'll probably at least release a single or something before the album comes out so that people can come follow you on Instagram, Spotify, and all that stuff, and get those pre-save links and do all that good stuff. But I think, we'll put all these links below the show notes. That way people can find anything that they want to find. But before you go, I'm going to ask you recommend one piece of new music, album, artist, something new music from like 2022, not from like 1989 that you just discovered, that you would like to shout out before we check out today.
Okay. Cheridomingo. I just talked about that. We're playing a show with them. They are great, amazing people, and they just released a song called Life is Good like 2 weeks ago. And they're also going on tour with Movements and Matt from Citizen and Citizen Pro. And they are great, and we love them. And that song rips really hard. You'll probably like too. So check that one out.
Sweet. Definitely. I always do. Every time somebody recommends something, I go check it out, and I'm like, man, they're fucking terrible. No, I'm just kidding.
It's good.
Like 99% of the time they're good, but every once in a while I'm like, oh, that's a bit folksy for me or something. But most of the stuff's good.
That won't be this. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Matt, from Crossing I's and Dotting T's, Dotting T's, for being on the show today. Make sure you go to the show notes, guys, below this episode to check out their music, because they're freaking awesome. And I'm looking forward to the album coming out, because if the first 7 songs are an indication, this album is going to freaking rip. Also, guys, remember the Powered by Rock podcast is powered by the listeners. So if you want to show us some support, please be sure to subscribe and share the podcast on social media. You can also make a donation to the podcast to help us keep making some awesome episodes with awesome guests. You can find that link in the notes as well. You can see the full video interview on our YouTube channel or on Spotify now as well. If you want to check out some of our articles, album reviews, lists, and interviews, go to poweredbyrock.com to read our absolutely free rocking blog. Also find our merch and gear as well, so you can pick up some items to play and look like a rock legend. That's our show for today. We'll see you soon for the next episode. Until then, rock on.